Hello everyone, it's great to be with you on this Sunday morning. We are going to be thinking about love today because it's Mothering Sunday, and so we are thinking about how people love. The reason why we're thinking about love, not only just because it's Mother's Day, but also because Jesus tells us to love others. So it's not just mothers that show us love, obviously. We are all commanded to love one another. But obviously mothers love us very deeply. So in John chapter 15, verses 16 to 17, we read this: "You didn't choose me, I chose you. I appointed you to go and produce lasting fruit, so that the Father will give you whatever you ask for, using my name. This is my command: love each other." So Jesus is saying we are to love one another, and that we are chosen to be part of his family. And being part of Jesus' family is that we produce fruit. Now, if you've been following along with any of my assemblies, if you're in the primary school, then you will have heard me talking quite a lot about how we are connected to Jesus. As Jesus is the vine and we are the branches, and we produce fruit. When we connected to Jesus, we produce fruit. That's the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, all of those and more. And one of those is love. And so we will love each other as we stay connected to Jesus. But we are also commanded to do it. It's a choice. We choose to love others. It goes beyond a feeling. But it does include feelings. So why don't we play a game? I'm going to give you 9 emojis for you to sort from most loving to least loving. Okay. So you need to decide which one is the most loving, which one is the least loving, and then order the rest in between. There's 9 of them to sort. They are all given a letter. Okay. So you can just, if you can't, obviously you can't cut them out because they're on the screen. So you can just write down the letters of the emoji that you kind of want to put next, or you could just draw the emoji if you find that easier than the letters. Okay, but write down those letters or the emojis in order from most loving to least loving. I'm going to give you 1 minute to do that. So if you haven't got a pencil or a piece of paper with you, then pause now and go and get that. But if you are ready, then you've got 1 minute. Off we go. Well, I hope you enjoyed that game. Some of them were quite tricky in the middle, weren't they? Hopefully you found the ones that were at the edges a bit easier. You might have chosen a smiley face, or the ones with hearts as eyes as the most loving, and at the other end you might have chosen the angry face, but you might also have chosen one that looked indifferent, just meh. Because sometimes if we really, really care about something, if we really love something or someone, then we might get angry about it in some way. So indifference is also a kind of not loving. Now I'm going to show you a little clip of a film called Patch Adams, and this guy is standing trial because he has been practicing medicine without a license. Can you see how he is loving others?
Every person who comes to the ranch is in need of some form of physical or mental help. They're patients. But also every person who comes to the ranch is in charge of taking care of someone else, whether it's cooking for them, cleaning them, or even a simple task as listening. That makes them doctors. I use that term broadly, gentlemen, but is not a doctor someone who helps someone else? When did the term doctor get treated with such reverence as, "Oh, right this way, Dr. Smith," or "Excuse me, Dr. Scholes, what wonderful foot pads," or "Pardon me, Dr. Patterson, but your flatulence has no odor"? At what point in history did a doctor become more than a trusted and learned friend who visited and treated the ill? Now, you ask me if I've been practicing medicine. Well, if this means opening your door to those in need, those in pain, caring for them, listening to them, applying a cold cloth until a fever breaks, if this is practicing medicine, if this is treating a patient, then I am guilty as charged, sir.
Did you consider the ramifications of your actions? What if one of your patients had died?
What's wrong with death, sir? What are we so mortally afraid of? Why can't we treat death with a certain amount of humanity and dignity and decency and, God forbid, maybe even humor? Death is not the enemy, gentlemen. If we're going to fight a disease, let's fight one of the most terrible diseases of all, indifference. Now, I've sat in your schools and heard people lecture on transference and professional distance. Transference is inevitable, sir. Every human being has an impact on another. Why don't we want that in a patient-doctor relationship? That's why I've listened to your teachings, and I believe they're wrong. A doctor's mission should be not just to prevent death, but also to improve the quality of life. That's why you treat a disease, you win, you lose. You treat a person, I guarantee you'll win, no matter what the outcome.
He is a loving doctor, isn't he? Because he is caring for people. And that's what he was trying to tell those people who was in front of him. He was trying to get across that indifference and kind of trying to distance yourself from other people is not a loving thing to do. But we're now going to think about a story that you might know from the Bible. We're going to think about Ruth and Naomi. Now, these two show love to one another in different ways. Naomi is a mother, and Ruth is kind of like is her daughter-in-law. And so, how are they showing love to one another? You might want to write down some of your ideas as we go along, because we're going to think a bit more about ways that people show love to us in a moment. So have a think about how Ruth and Naomi are showing love to one another, and we'll have a look at what some of us have said. What some of us might have said anyway, at the end of this clip.
All right, I will tell the story of Ruth.
Oh no, not you!
Yes, me, Chester Wiggett, master of the popsicle stick puppet. And now, the story of Ruth. Once upon a time, there was a woman named Ruth. She wasn't an Israelite, she was from Moab, a country Israel didn't like very much. But Ruth, she married an Israelite. As our story begins, Ruth, her Israelite husband, and her husband's mother were all living in Moab because there was a famine in Israel.
A famine? You mean no food?
Right, no food. So there they are in the Moab when, oh no, Ruth's husband dies. I don't know what happened. Maybe he got hit by a bus.
I don't think they had buses back then.
Okay, maybe he got hit by a cow.
Chester?
A goat?
Chester!
An ill-tempered iguana?
Chester!
Anyway, he's dead. He's gone. No more husband. Now, Ruth's mother-in-law, her name is Naomi. She doesn't have a husband either. He died a while back. Probably another iguana.
Chester!
Or something. Naomi doesn't really belong in the Moab. She's an Israelite. So as soon as the famine ends, she decides to go back to Israel. Of course, she is old and has no husband and no money. So she'll have to beg for food. Her life will be sad. Well, guess what? Ruth doesn't want that to happen. She loves Naomi. So even though Moab is her home, Ruth says to Naomi, I will come with you. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. Isn't it beautiful? I'm telling you, that part makes me cry every time.
Yeah, that's really something.
It gets you right in the gut. Anyway, this amazing Ruth, she leaves her home and goes to Israel with Naomi to take care of her. Every day she follows the workers in the fields to pick up little bits of grain to share with Naomi. Oh, I'm losing it, but get this is the best part. So she's picking up bits of grain in a field that belongs to a wealthy man named Boaz, who happens to be related to Naomi's old husband, the one that died in the iguana accident.
I don't think he was killed by an iguana.
Whatever. Anyway, Boaz sees Ruth in the field and hears about what she's done for Naomi. He hears about her great love for her mother-in-law. And get this, he falls in love with Ruth. Wonderful Ruth. And Ruth and Boaz end up getting married. And Boaz takes care of Ruth and takes care of Naomi, her mother-in-law. And everyone is happy and they burst into song. Ever since I saw you, I knew that I loved you and will be together, always and forever.
Chester?
Always, always.
Chester, I don't think they burst into song. The Book of Ruth is not a musical.
Well, it should be.
So Naomi was actually trying to look after Ruth when she said, go home, Ruth. Go back to your family. She was trying to make sure that Ruth got the best life that she could. She was going to be ending up in a strange land. And she didn't know Naomi didn't know where she was going to get any food from. And so she wanted what was best for Ruth. And that's why she said, go home to your family. But Ruth Ruth wanted to stay with Naomi because Ruth wanted to take care of Naomi. Ruth loved Naomi very much. And so they both went. They both went back to Israel. And their God, well, God loved them by providing Boaz. Now, when Ruth has been working in that field, we are told in the Bible that Naomi was helping Ruth to decide what to do and kind of how to best deal with that situation, and that was a way of her loving as well, although we didn't see that in the video. But now what I want you to have a think about is all of the different ways that someone in your life loves you. So whether you are still in contact with your birth mother or not, whether you have somebody else in your life who is your mother figure. Have a think about someone who loves you very much. How do they show that? And then, although this video is going to be quite short today, you've probably got about 5 minutes now. You've got about 5 minutes before Steve finishes to make either a card or write a little letter or a note to that person who has shown you love, and say that you have noticed how they love you. Write down all of those things that the way that they have loved you. Maybe they make you pack lunches each day. Maybe they give you a cuddle when you're hurt. Maybe even you know and appreciate the rules that your parents set, because you know that's a part of a way of them loving you, even though you might not always like it. There's loads and loads of ways that people love us. Write some of those down. Put them in a card if you can. Or just write a little note and hand that to that person. As I said, you've got about 5 minutes to do that, probably, before Steve finishes his sermon.
We're going to sing our action song together. Together we sing, God who made the universe. God who made the universe, the earth, the sun, the moon and stars, has a place in his heart for me. From the beginning to the end, God will always be my friend. So I can jump, shout, 'cause God loves me. God's love is big, God's love is great, God's love is fire and he's my mate. God's love surrounds me every day, and I love to sing and say, God's love is big, God's love is strong, God's love goes on and on and on. God's love surrounds me every day, and I love to sing and say, God loves me. Since before the world began, God knew me and had a plan for my life and how it's gonna be. He sent Jesus to be my friend, show his love will never end. So I can jump and shout, 'cause God God's love is big, God's love is great, God's love is fab and He's my mate. God's love surrounds me every day, and I love to sing and say, God's love is big, God's love is strong, God's love goes on and on and on. God's love surrounds me every day, and I love to sing and say, God loves me. Oh, how He loves me. Sing it tight. God's love is big, big. God's love is great, great. God's love is fire, fire. God's love is strong, strong. God's love is big, great, fire, strong, big, great, fire, strong, big, great, fire, strong, big, great, fire, strong, big, great, fire, strong. But God's love is big, God's love is great, God's love is fire, and He's my mate. God's love surrounds me every day, and I love to sing and say, God's love is big, God's love is strong, God's love goes on and on and on. God's love surrounds